So I was wondering what your perspective was about the preservation of the Bible and the Quran.
Right, the Quran has never been changed.
Never been changed. So there's only one Quran.
Yeah, there's only one version of the Quran.
Only one version of the Quran.
Yeah, and since then, like, people have been able to recite it, even if all the Qurans were burned, we'd be able to.
Right, because the oral tradition, you know exactly what it is, so you can recite it.
Oh, I can't recite it, but people can memorize it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, brothers can.
So do you accept that there's 10 qira'at of the Quran, 10 different readings?
Sure.
Okay, but those 10 different readings are obviously different, right?
Okay.
So if they're different, then there's not one Quran, there's 10 Qurans.
Okay.
So do you take that back, there's only one Quran?
That's the first time I've heard that.
Well, no, I said it to you, you accepted it, so I assume you know about it, right? You're not just taking my word for it.
What are the 10 versions?
No, so there's different recitations, just like there's different accents. There's a British accent, there's a Texas accent, there's an English accent.
They're not accents.
Different accent. Who are you gonna believe, a Muslim or a Christian?
So
really? Is that what it boils down to? Just believe.
The difference between the qira'at? Like,
yeah, of course. So there's a famous one. Muhammad Hijab will tell you this. I had a chat with him about it. So you have in Surah Al-Fatiha, you have ayah 4. I think it's ayah 4. Yeah. So Malik al-Madin or Malik al-Madin, owner or king in Arabic. They're two different words. So if you want to read up about this, you can get a book called the 10 Qira'at of the Noble Quran by Dr. Fidel Suleiman, who worked for the British Foundation in Cairo, which is a Dawah Institute. And he's wrote a book about it, where he translates the Quran into English, but not just in one reading, he does it for all 10. So you can read the differences in the Quran for all different 10 valid readings according to Islamic scholars.
Great.
Cool. So do you accept then that the Quran is not perfectly preserved?
No, I'll read that book and I'll see if that's the case. It's the first time I've heard that.
Okay. Well, all right. I think you can see the point that the Quran isn't perfectly preserved, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
That's according to you.
Well, that's according to the scholars I quoted. I mean, you can ask Muhammad Hijab, he has the same view.
Because the question is, which one is divinely revealed?
Well, it gets a bit more complicated because there's supposed to be 7 aluf.
Also, keep in mind that you guys are Christians. You guys misinterpret everything.
Okay. So that's called ad hominem.
Why would we
that's called ad hominem.
That's you think a man is God.
That's ad hominem. Ad hominem. Calm down. No need to attack someone.
No, I mean,
it's just ad hominem. Ad hominem means against them. It's a fallacy that people use in debate when they can't actually address the point.
I'm having a conversation.
So let's address the point. So according to Islamic Sunnah, the Hadith, Muhammad says there is 7 viable different ways that you can recite the Quran. They're called the Aruf. I can get the Hadith, it's Sahih Bukhari and others as well. So that must mean there are 7 ways of reciting the Quran. But according to your scholars, there's 10. How did that happen?
That's the first time I'm hearing that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You should look it up. Because what people are saying is that actually, Uthman canonized the Quran. Do you know about that canonization process?
No.
Okay, so the third caliph.
People like that.
Yeah, so Uthman put together a committee around 652 time to around 656. And he put together this committee to collect different Quranic materials from different places because there were reports of people arguing about what the Quran was because they differed. He then decided to standardize it into one Qurayshi dialect, to one standard reading. And then he burnt all the other Quranic materials and he sent it out to the 5 different cities. So you had Kufa, Sham, Medina, Mecca, and so on. My point is that if there's meant to be 7 readings, where are they?
I don't know. Where do you think they are?
I think they were destroyed. I think that 6 out of 7 valid readings for your Quran are destroyed and they're not preserved.
They are within all the recitation we have today.
6 out of 7 is the majority. It's a vast majority.
Who do you think destroyed them?
This is my good friend Sam. He's a good guy. Love him. Absolutely love him.
Who do you think destroyed them?
Uthman.
Why do you
They are within.
I don't know. We don't know. I mean, it's a scholarly question. We don't actually know what Uthman destroyed. It just says that there were Quranic manuscript material that was destroyed. It was burnt, but they never elaborate on what that was.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't know, you just give us your views on Christianity and we'll just talk about them. We don't have to debate, we can just dialogue if you like.
Okay, so what are you? Let's start with
I'm an Eastern Orthodox.
What does that mean? So a lot of times people say Orthodox, they start off by saying a place.
Yeah, because they're...
People don't say I'm an Arabic Muslim, they don't say I'm an Indonesian Muslim, they just say Muslim. That's
well,
the number one thing when I hear Orthodox is I'm a Serbian Muslim. What does that mean?
That's just...
Country. Just tell me
well, Eastern just refers typically to the fact that the East and West had a split in the schism in 1054 between what becomes the Roman Catholic Church and the Eastern Church. We call ourselves particularly Eastern Orthodox to distinct us from the Oriental Orthodox in Egypt, Ethiopia, Armenia, who we have Christological disagreements with. So it's just to point out the distinction in between, because they also call themselves the Oriental Orthodox. In Arabic, for them, Oriental East, it's pretty much the same word. So we only say it in English really to distinct. In just normal conversation, we just call ourselves Orthodox.
Right.
It's just for the sake of making sure that it's clear what position we are holding to. That will just be Chalcedonian Christology. That will just be basic stuff like Diophysitism. So as opposed to their view of strict Miaphysitism or monophysite.
I'm good. It's okay. I'm not going to question.
Don't worry, we're just having a little. Yeah.
You said Eastern Orthodox.
Yeah.
Serbian Orthodox, Russian Orthodox.
I go to a Greek church.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Just asking.
No, come. I wanna have a little dialogue with you, man. I'm not trying to.
What do you want to talk about?
I'm saying, I'm trying to hear your views on Christianity. You normally have a lot to say on
How
your
many gods do you believe in?
one.
One God. Is
Yeah.
Jesus God?
Absolutely.
Okay, so who did Jesus pray to?
The Father.
Okay, that sounds like there's more than one now.
Well, there's
how can
more
God pray to himself?
because there's more than one hypostases in the Godhead. There's not more than one God, because God in this case refers to the nature, the divine nature, as mentioned in 2 Peter 1:4, the divine physis in Greek. So we understand there's one nature. That's what we refer to when we say one God. These persons have the nature. God is one in nature, tri and hypostases. But the hypostases aren't separate beings, because being is once again proper to the nature. So there's one being in three persons.
What's that word you're using?
Hypostasis.
What's your definition of that?
Person, individual subsistence and a rational nature.
They're separate or they're together?
Distinct, not separate.
What's the difference between distinct and separate?
Well, separable means they can be taken apart. We're not saying they can be taken apart.
Semantics.
It's not semantics, it's metaphysically different. Separation implies like this, I can separate this from myself, but a distinction just implies that there is a difference between two things without being able to separate them. And they're different insofar as their identity as Father, Son and Holy Spirit. They're not different insofar as their nature once again.
Okay. So, are you sure you believe in one?
Absolutely, I believe in one God.
Okay. So when you pray, do you pray to God or you pray to Jesus?
Either or, it's the same thing.
Either is that means that applies too.
Yeah.
See how the language is already.
You can make a linguistic point if you want. The point is, I could say, oh God, or I could say, oh Jesus. I'm just saying there's not really a distinction between saying either of those things.
Okay.
It's like the difference between saying, oh Ya Allah and Ya Rahman. It's just you can say either or, but you're referencing back to the same being, right?
That's just two names.
Yeah, that's the point. And we're just giving you two names of persons in the Godhead.
You're saying two distinct beings.
You need to not say separate entities. These are distinct persons, but they are one being. So that's just not characterizing what I said correctly. So is that your contention, Christianity, that we're allegedly tritheists or polytheists? Is that your contention?
No, that's just why. That's what I don't resonate. It never makes sense to me.
Well, I
speak
just
to people like,
broke it down.
Let me explain. I speak to Eastern Orthodox, Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, Christian Scientists, Mormons. Everybody has a different definition.
Yeah.
Whether it's a form, it's a distinct being. Jesus is God. There's only one God. There's three gods. There's the Holy Spirit.
Which Christians are you talking to that said there's three gods?
Oh, a lot. The Christians are never consistent about what they believe.
Well,
in.
anyone
This
who
is the
told
first time that I've
you,
heard the hypotheses, I've never heard.
well,
that
that's the standard formula that it's been for centuries, for nearly 2,000 years. This has been our standard formalization. I mean, once again, I don't know any Christian who says.
The first time I've heard a Christian say, like, I ask, okay, you believe in one God, and then he said either or. If you played to one, you wouldn't use the word either.
I don't understand what you mean by that.
You said you believe in one. You say you believe in one, but then I asked, who do you pray to, Jesus or God? You said either one.
No, I'm saying
either or.
Well, you can twist my language if you want, but as I already made clear, we're talking about hypostases. We're talking about the fact that any of them are God according to us, but we still pray to any of them as God. There's not really a distinction in regards that they are God. But there's no difference between that and saying you can call upon any of the names of your God and it's still referring to the same being. That's not necessarily a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sort of rhetoric is why I love Christianity and why Tawhid makes sense to me.
But that's not rhetoric. That's calling it rhetoric isn't, you know.
I'm not calling it rhetoric. I'm just
You said that sort of
rhetoric. The way you're
rhetoric.
explaining it right now, it still doesn't make sense.
That's called a personal incredulity fallacy. So appealing to your own lack of understanding of a thing does not entail a thing is not true. That's fallacious.
Yes.
So
it's okay, bro. I don't really want.
Well, no, because I want to engage with what you think about my beliefs, right? Because you say it.
Is that what you really want? Or you just want some clout?
I can put it with God as my witness. I have no interest in clout.
Which God?
My God, the Lord our God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I was just curious because he says a lot about our faith online. I just want to engage with him in a dialogue. I think that's fair for a critic of our faith to engage with someone who wants to answer some criticisms.
And I explain. Like the reason that I love Christianity is because I've never heard an answer that makes sense to me. And you're saying that my lack of understanding is wrong. Well,
I'm saying that
appealing. Let me explain. Faith all starts from understanding. If something doesn't make logical sense to me, if I don't understand it, then I'm not going to believe in it.
All I was stating.
It's something personal. That's not a personal attack on your faith.
Well,
it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well,
even now, the way you explain it, hypotheses, either or, distinct, it still doesn't make sense, and I don't think anybody will ever be able to make sense.
It's made sense and been understood quite consistently throughout many fields of philosophy and theology for centuries. So that's not true. But all I was pointing out there is appealing to I don't understand this or this doesn't make sense to me doesn't actually prove the thing in question false. That's called a personal incredulity fallacy. So your reasoning is logically flawed.